Alright everybody, let's talk about some Xbox Scorpio, because look, these past few days we've had a lot of news. These past several days. And it all started off with Microsoft getting Digital Foundry over to basically talk about the Scorpio. And the promise was 6 teraflops, 320 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth, 4K gaming. And turns out they've over-delivered. They had a build of Forza made in 2 days, running at 4K 60 frames per second, and it was only using 66% of the GPU. That is mind-blowing. And the image they put out was really impressive. Like, really impressive. And the thing is, this thing can load 4K textures with only 1% of the GPU being hit. Jaw-dropping stuff. Like, really. And basically this thing will be capable of running engines that are capable of, 900p and 1080p games, and upscale them to native 4K. So basically games are going to look better in general without an update. Now, I do suspect that a lot of games, like the PlayStation 4 Pro, will also get an update, because, they can do things to them. They can put better lighting effects in, better particle effects, basic things like that. These games are going to look insane on Scorpio. And I think people thought that Microsoft weren't going to keep, the initial promise, but they basically are. Now, the interesting thing that came out yesterday was that Scorpio will support FreeSync. So, when you're playing a game and you see screen tearing, like you'll see this a lot if you're playing like a 360 game, your console is trying to push through a new frame, but your TV's refresh rate isn't mixing with what's, being pushed through, so you get a screen tear. FreeSync displays, basically, your GPU and your console tell the TV when to refresh the frame, which means you won't get screen tearing. So if you're playing something like a shooter or a fighting game, you're not going to get that, and you're going to be able to be better, basically, because, when you're playing a fighting game, every frame counts, and this is such a hardcore feature. Now, the thing is, TVs do not support this feature. So hopefully maybe the higher end TVs can get updated, but I'm thinking 2018, 2019 displays will start taking advantage of this. But the fact that it's there, and it's there for gamers that want to use it, so if you're like me, for instance, and you like to play games on a smaller display, maybe a gaming monitor is the way to go. Like, really. And this is such a hardcore feature, and I think a lot of people that have gaming monitors will, use this. And I actually want to get a gaming monitor now just for that feature. So today, Phil Spencer did an interview with, I think it was Gama Sutra. I'll post the links to everything I've talked about in the description down below. Did a really long interview. One of the things that was brought up was VR. He didn't want to basically, talk a lot about VR and their plans, and I think that's been saved for around E3. Whether they are making their own headset, but I think, to be honest, they'll just support the Windows 10 headsets being made by LG, Acer, Asus. He doesn't see VR gaming as a whole, being something that, like, if you really think about it, there isn't a singular store filled with VR games that has a lot of VR games that are good. Like, a lot of them are just basic tech demos. Other than Star Trek Bridge Crew, I can't think of an impressive VR game that I've actually seen. Not really. So I think in the future, maybe 2018, we'll start seeing VR on console, on Scorpio. And one of the interesting things I saw in the interview was that for years, even since the 360, we've been getting rumours of all this hardware we've never seen or heard about. So even on the 360, we had rumours of a 360 Mini that didn't have a disc drive and it would only play indie games and apps. That was a rumour. Then last year there was the Xbox Stream Stick, and nothing ever came of that. And he basically said in the interview, you know, these are all things that they worked on and, you know, had ideas about. There was even an idea for an Xbox handheld. You know, as interesting as that sounds, Nintendo pretty much own the handheld market. But it's interesting that they've actually looked at all these devices. Another thing that was brought up is what's going to happen after Scorpio. Is it just going to be, you know, PC games? Is it going to be an app or streaming? And like myself, you know, he thinks that we're going to have boxes in the living room for many years to come because, look, the internet infrastructure around the world just isn't there yet. So I wouldn't expect these boxes going away anytime soon. Maybe 20 years from now we'll just be streaming. And, you know, this interview was very long, by the way. From everything I've read in this interview, you know, yes, the console has some basic form of liquid cooling. It has FreeSync. It has a super fast hard drive. It has, you know, 6 teraflops of GPU power. It's a powerful console. And people are thinking it's going to be $700. But from reading the interview, I'm beginning to believe that it's going to be $399. You know, there'll probably be like different SKUs, so like, you know, a 2 terabyte one or even a 3 terabyte one. But I wouldn't really be that surprised if Scorpio comes out and it's $399. Because think about it, look at the PlayStation 4 Pro. 4.2 teraflops of GPU power. And that came out in 2016 for $399. The reason why I think that it's going to be $399 is because in this interview, he said it several times, the PlayStation 4 Pro, for what it was in, you know, a 2016 console and costing that much, he kept referring it to a 2016 console, a 2016 console. And then when he referred to Scorpio, he said he wanted the prices of the parts to go down for the 2017 console. I expect Scorpio to be $399 or $449 max. Anyway, that's just what I took away from the past few days of information. We've had a lot of information given out, but I think those are the most important parts. Also, 360 games as well as Xbox One games will look better, again, without updates. You're basically going to get anti-aliasing on 360 games. So think Dead Space, think Mass Effect, all going to look cleaned up on Xbox Project Scorpio. That in itself, for me, is worth the price and admission, because if you know me on here and on Twitter, Mass Effect, you know, with anti-aliasing on an Xbox console, I'll take it. Day one, I need it. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications because YouTube is acting up lately and you'll actually get notified to when I actually post a video. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.